Welcome to Blind Cafe's Naked DJs podcast, where every day we expose ourselves to the very best music. Some days we like to shake it up, some days we let it all hang out, and others we just like to stick it out there for you to listen to.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Blind Cafe Radio podcast. I'm Lightning Blind Mike, and tonight with us, we have Dr. Johnny Love, Foxy Lady J, and DJ Tom. DJ Curveball was unavailable tonight to join us, and he sends his regrets that he couldn't be here tonight. We also, as I mentioned during my radio shows, that we have lost a DJ, and that was DJ Maria. And now that everybody has been able to properly mourn over her, and now with her blessings, we can, hopefully get on with our podcast and continue with the Naked DJs. So on that note, we're going to get started with, our main story tonight is all about Naomi Judd, but we do have another story as well. And we're going to go into that one first. We'll leave the Judds for our second story, and we'll go from there. All right. So tonight we are going to talk about Ed Sheeran, and he has had enough of copyright
litigation.
Thank you, litigation. And he is tired of this whole thing of being sued. Now, he did settle for a song back in 2018, and he says ever since then he probably did the wrong thing because he should have never settled, because now other people have decided that they're going to try to sue him and call him say that he's copywriting all of their music, which he is not. He was told that he copywrote Marvin Gaye, one of Marvin Gaye's lines, and there was a few others as well. But instead of me doing all the talking, because we haven't done a podcast in a while, so to be quite honest, I'm actually just a little bit nervous doing this. So who here? Well, actually, you know what? Not who here. Tom, I'm going to start with you. And the reason why I'm going to start with you, because of all of the problems that he's been having, he has actually come down to saying every time he goes to create a song, write it, produce it, get on his piano and practice, he's going to videotape himself doing so, showing that he's actually writing the song. And with all of these different producers and people, all these radio or all these people like Sony and such that are signing people up for music, there's so many ways that you can only write music, because there's only so many notes that you can use in so many different ways. And they're all saying that, from here and forward, they're going to have issues with people, coming up with some of the same lines or some of the same music that other people has used in the past. So my question to you is, do you think that's actually going to be a common thing, or do you think people should actually still try to, try to make sure it hasn't been written in the past and hopefully, have something of their own? I guess it's a weird question, because he basically said that he is just having a hard time. He sits back, he writes a song, he says, "Oh, great, I did great." But in the back of his mind, he says, "Who have I copywritten?" So do you feel that songs are going to get harder and harder as it comes down the line to create a new one?
Songwriting in general has always been harder and harder, because there's so many phrases, there's only so many styles, and there's only so many notes that you can do. So there are always going to be similarities, in my opinion. I definitely agree with Shakespeare. Kill all the lawyers, really, because it's ridiculous, especially in music copyright law. There are, for every, half a dozen high profile suits within music writing and copyright law. There are hundreds of others. This has been an ongoing problem for decades. People saying, well, you put this little musical phrase and it's mine, and that's a stretch. You can't prove that one way or the other, because you're always going to have similarities when you're singing or performing or writing a song.
And Julie, because of these copyright issues, do you think, let me get my question right, because I had a question in my head just for you. And so my question to you would be, because of all these similarities in writing music and such, I just lost my question again. Anybody else have a comment real quick while I think of a question about this subject?
Well, just like Tom said, as a writer myself, there are only so many words and phrases that go together, unless you want to come up with a different language or different words. So when you put them together, sometimes it's hard to avoid a line that somebody else has written. You know, people have been writing songs, like Tom said, for decades. It's very difficult. Sometimes when I write something, I'll look it over when I'm finished and say, oh, I hope, another song doesn't have this rhyme. But, I think as long as you sing it different than somebody else's line, or you use a different instrument where that line was, I think lawsuits, not just in music, but in general, are too frivolous.
They're very frivolous. There's an old adage that says there's nothing new under the sun. Everything's going to come around and go around at least 2 or 3 times over the course of several generations. And that's the issue that makes musical infringement a real stretch. You've got to prove it more than beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's the issue. That's the crux of all this thing, making it so ridiculous, is the fact that there's always like Julie and we both said, there's only so many words, there's only so many notes, and there's only so many ways to produce something.
All right. So basically, Julie, you spoke up and actually gave a really good response when I lost my question. So I'll leave this question for Johnny then. Johnny, because Ed Sheeran has been picked on for the song Shape of You, Photograph, and a few others that he's been sued for, and basically has won all of his lawsuits. Do you actually think people are actually doing this because they feel like they've been copywritten, or do you think because he actually made his songs into hits and he's making all this money, they're just going after his money? Do you feel
they're going after the money?
Absolutely.
I think they're going after the money. I gotta agree with Tom and Julie. Yeah, they're going after the money. I mean, come on, Ed Sheeran, big guy now. Ooh, let's go after him. But let's not forget. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. I think though, when it first came out in the news, I think, what was it? George Harrison, when he did "My Sweet Lord," didn't he get sued by
the Chiffons?
Yes.
"He's So Fine" was the song that allegedly got copied by Harrison on "My Sweet Lord." And again, you're talking the same kind of chord progression and note cadence. They are similar, but did they do it intentionally? That's a pretty far stretch.
Especially with Harrison being as good as writer as he is. And think about the word photograph. Ringo Starr did a song called Photograph. Def Leppard did a song called Photograph. And there's only so many things you can say about a photograph. It's a picture. And it just baffles me that they allow these lawsuits. Now, if somebody absolutely copies somebody's work, I can see that. But even with My Sweet Lord, there was different notes, and it was similar but not the same. And the words were all different.
Now, I know we're talking about music and all that. I want to just go to Julie real quick. Julie, you're a book writer. I've read all your books, and the copyright laws basically are exactly the same. Did you ever feel like you had to sit back, read your book over and over to make sure you didn't plagiarize anybody else's work, or were you happy with what you did?
Well, my books were my own thoughts. A lot of my books are things that actually happened mixed in with exaggerations, let's say. And so, no, I didn't feel like I was not afraid of my work being a threat as a copyright.
And I'm going to go over to Tom now because I do have a question for Johnny as well. But I'm going to go over to Tom. Tom, you sang professionally. You've been on tour and everything. Have you written your own songs, and have you sung those songs while you're on tour? And has anybody ever come up to you and said anything about copyright infringement?
I have personally not written any songs. I've collaborated on some things more recently, long after I stopped touring with Harborside Music, and I've collaborated on some of the stuff they've done, more on a recording and mixing type realm. But no, I'm not a writer. I had to study it in college, and in my circle of friends, I probably know a half a dozen authors, and I know a couple of people that actually own publishing companies, music publishing companies and such. And I've learned from them how this copyright thing works.
And Johnny, I know that you like to sing for fun. You're always trying to countrify songs and everything else. We always make fun of you, or we say, hey, good job or whatever. It's, we always like to have fun with you. But on a serious note, we really do like how you come out and you sing and all that, and you try to countrify songs and such. But my question is that because you sing for fun, and I don't know if you've ever tried to go pro or not, but have you ever written any of your own songs? And now if you have, are you worried about any type of copyright, and if you have, are you going to go and take a look at your songs if you've written any to see if you would get sued if you tried producing them?
Writing songs? No, I've often thought I wouldn't mind giving it a try, but I've never written any songs, so I don't have to worry about any copyright and stuff. On my dad's side of the family, I mean, everybody can either play an instrument or sing or write a song or do a 2 out of 3 or do all 3. And I have a few relatives that actually have written their own songs. They haven't published them or anything, but they played them and stuff. But I don't think they worried about any getting sued and stuff like that. But as for me, no. I mean, I haven't written. I mean, I would love to write a song. I mean, I keep thinking, how hard can it be? And I'm looking, it's pretty hard, yeah, But no, I have no worries about that, unless Elvis comes up out of the grave going, excuse me, you need to quit doing my song there, boy.
And I've seen Julie write music and do her poems. So quick question, Julie, how long does it take you I've seen you actually study the song. I've seen you actually produce one in a week. I don't know how long it takes you to do your poems. I've heard all of your stuff. But how long does it usually take you to write a song or put out one of your poems? Because you also have a poem book too, don't you?
I have a poem book and a song book. It takes a while because you'll write something and then the next time you look at it, you'll rewrite it. You'll add a line, change a line. If you're picky like me, it takes quite a while. But then sometimes, there are occasions when you can have a song thought in your head, and as soon as you start writing it down, it just comes to you naturally. I wrote a song called Blind Date. And, obviously being blind, it wasn't very difficult to think of having a blind date. And that song was done very quickly.
I remember that song. All right, so I'm just going to ask everybody. I'll let Tom go first, though, if he wants any last thoughts, because Tom's his microphone picks up the background, and so we'll let him go first. If anybody has any last thoughts, go ahead, and then if not, we'll move on to our second article article for the evening.
I can't blame Mr. Sheeran for being gun shy. I wish him a lot of luck and continued success of exposing this idiocy.
Me too. At first, I didn't like his stuff because he did a lot more rap in the beginning. But the more I listen to his songs and listen to the words, I actually like him as an artist now. I hope he does very well, and I don't blame him for videotaping, his thoughts. And it's going to be intimidating, though, having a camera on while you're thinking and going through the thought process, but I don't blame him.
I myself, I can't blame Ed for doing what he's doing, and I hope, like Tom says, I hope he exposes all these people coming out of the woodwork. And as for his music, Julie, check out a song he did called "Make It Rain." Look on YouTube for it. It's a really pretty good song. I like it myself. But other than that, I mean, let's face it. I mean, this is going to happen not just to him, but come on, there's going to be other people that's going to be in the news. This is going to happen too, and everything like that. So it's not going to end. At least in my opinion, I don't think it will.
Taylor Swift wrote a song, and she has the line "shake, shake, shake" in it, and they went after her for that. Or it has "shake" something in it. And I was a couple of Ed Sheeran songs. He wrote one called "Perfect." What a beautiful song that is. And he just wrote one with Taylor Swift called "The Joker and the Queen." And that's a really good song. And then there was another one. I made Michael listen to it the other day. I forget the name of it, but it's about somebody dying and how all the people are in the house.
Something with flowers, wasn't it?
Yes, flowers. And, they took the cards down from the windowsill and they were cleaning up the plates. And I was in tears. And it's about his mother dying, but it's not his mum. It's a mum dying, But I thought it was his mum, and I was so sad. And then when I looked up the lyrics, it said, "This is not his mum." So I was kind of glad to hear that.
Do you have dreams that you want to achieve, but are scared to do so due to self-doubt, fear, and other people's criticism? I have just what you need. You need a dose of the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, where I interview guests that will motivate and inspire you to stop at nothing to achieve your dreams. And always remember, if you believe, you can achieve.
The Living the Dream with Curveball podcast is available on your favorite podcast app.
You're listening to the Naked DJs right here on Blind Cafe Radio. Don't forget, you can check us out on Twitter /Blind Cafe Radio, Facebook /Blind Cafe Radio. And now we're going to get back to the Naked DJs, and we're going to start with our second article. Naomi Judd died at the age of 76. Out through her life, she fought hepatitis C and depression, and they were just getting ready to go on a world tour, their very last world tour. But instead of me telling you all about it, I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Johnny Love and let him discuss the about the Judds to everyone, and let him ask the questions to the DJs. Johnny, you're up.
All right, thank you, Lightning Blind Mike. And yes, we lost Naomi Judd this past Saturday at the age of 76. They said it was due to mental illness. Actually, I did check on my news feed on ATT, Yahoo, whatever you want to call it. From people, basically, it said that she committed suicide. I do not know if that is a fact. I'd have to look up for that more, but that's what I had read. I do know she fought mental illness. She had something called suicide depression or depressive suicide, something like that. And she's battled that a lot. Along with in 91, she got diagnosed with hepatitis C when she had got that when she was a nurse. And that kind of derailed her and Winona for a while. But I remember first hearing them back in 82. In fact, the first song that I remember hearing from them, the video I first seen from them was Mama, He's Crazy, which was really good. And of course, they had to make a parody out of that, who was Pinkerton Bowden, Mama, She's Lazy. But that's another story for another drink. But yeah, it's pretty sad to hear her, that we lost her. And if it's true that she committed suicide, that's even sadder because there's so much help out there, but I think we can only do so much, I think. I mean, Tom, how about you? What's your thought on it?
I am praying for the family, to be sure. What a tremendous loss to the country music world. Regardless of if it's suicide or not, it's just a terrible loss. A country music legend no longer with us. Quite a sad situation. What I do appreciate about Ashley and Winona is that they showed up and they really portrayed themselves as a class act by honoring Naomi and accepting the award with graciousness and humility. I really appreciated the fact that they took the time to include Naomi in the receiving of this tremendous honor.
Yeah, I believe that country music was going to not do it after Naomi passed, because of Naomi passing. And Winona said, no, let's do it. So they're like, all right, cool, we're going to do it. And yeah, I agree with Tom. I mean, it's a great loss to the country community, but Winona and Ashley really did. They were a class act doing that. Let me see. What do we got here? They were also going to go on tour starting in September. They were going to do like a 10 concert tour, and I was hoping they were going to come through to Indiana here because that would have been pretty good. I wouldn't mind going to see them.
I was hoping Orlando.
I always did like the Judds. I mean, I always thought Naomi was hot looking back in the day, and I always liked their singing. I mean, not all their songs are my favorite. I think my most favorite had to be Grandpa. Tell me about the good old days.
I was going to say
that's always a good song.
Same thing. Yes, that's my favorite. And Love Will Build a Bridge. That was just perfection between the two of them. We need that right now.
Yes, we do.
And in fact, that's the song that they sang, I think, at the last CMA Awards show. They had like a gospel choir there, and they sang that song, Love Will Build a Bridge. Some people that watched the show said that Naomi did not look good. I myself, I didn't see it. I don't really watch the award shows anymore. But maybe I'll go see if I can find it on video, check it out. But I do know on my show tonight, I started out with Mama, He's Crazy, and I ended the show with Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days. Because, like I said, I love that song. And I actually heard Dave Finley, who did a cover version of it, and Julie's told me in no uncertain terms that she does not like his version. I think it's okay, but no, if you're going to do it justice, do not try to cover that song ever. MJ, how about you? You have a favorite Judd song?
Well, you guys mentioned the very first song that I ever heard of the Judds, and I'd have to say that it was I'm not sure on the albums because I heard their music, I liked their music, and back in the 90s and all that, I was still running around doing other things and all that, but I was listening to music at the same time. And I do believe the very first song I heard of theirs was Mama That You're Crazy. And Grandpa Tell Us About the Good Old Days are the very first two that I think I actually heard. I heard Build a Bridge as well. But I do know that, Julie, you mentioned that you had a lot of, you actually followed the Judds a little bit here and there. The only thing else I'm going to say about the Judds is that it is a real shame to see what happened to Naomi. Even if she did commit suicide, it was a really bad depression that she had. She said she was been taking her medicine and so on, but something did happen where she slipped. And again, it's just a shame. And I wish the Judd sisters, or the mom and the daughter, you got Wynonna and Ashley as the mom and daughter, and I wish them the best. And I do have one more question. Does Ashley have any kids, by the way?
That I do not know. I've never really followed Ashley's career. I mean, I do know she was married to I think a race car driver at one time, but I really never followed her career. And I think after the Judds kind of quit touring, I believe I didn't follow them as much. I mean, I'd check out Wynonna's stuff once in a while, but I haven't really followed them as much anymore. I'm going to have to look that up. Just now you got me curious.
Naomi was very open about her depression because she didn't want anybody else to suffer like she did. She said she could go out on stage, glitter in her hair, and look like a doll, and then go home, put her pajamas on. And one time she put those on, and for 2 years, she just sat on the couch, didn't bathe, didn't do the daily routine thing, just stayed in her pajamas. That has to be awful to live with something like that. So it's, as much as I hate the word, because it's happened in my family, I can understand why if she did do what they say she did, it's understandable. But normally, whenever they say they died of mental illness, it does mean suicide. And I'm praying for Ashley and Wynonna too. I've always liked Wynonna. I wanted to sing Toying It Loose, but I never could get it.
And you should try to do that. No One Else on Earth. Try doing that one.
I was just sitting here thinking while you guys were talking about, all the different things that with the Judds and all that. Do you guys remember our very first year on Blind Cafe Radio? We had Brian's live concerts, and we actually did the Judds New Year's Eve concert. It wasn't New Year's Eve when we did it, but we played their New Year's Eve live concert on our radio station. And I thought that was just incredible because it was in Arizona and the place was jammed. There had to have been standing room only, barely probably any standing room, but they literally just packed the place. That had to have been back in the 90s, Johnny. I don't remember when they did that concert, or Julie too, because I know I talked to you about it when they did that concert, but it was huge. They were just, what's the word I'm looking at? They were just incredible. The fans loved them, and they really made a name for themselves just as in being a mom and daughter group, and even though Winona had to go off on her own for a while there, it was nice to see them come back as a couple again when Naomi got better.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I believe it was in the 90s, but yeah, they were, as put in a wrestling term, they were over with the fans. I mean, they were over like Rover and the Clover. But I remember the first video I seen of theirs was in '82, and it was on HBO has something called like a video jukebox, and the first video I seen on that one was Mama, He's Crazy. And I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And the thing was, the next video after that was the Go-Go's, Our Lips Are Sealed. A little bit of tidbit right there. But, now the thing is, though, I mean, now we just, I guess, mourn and then we move on, I reckon. I mean, I don't know how the country world's going to do that, but I mean, it happens. Oh, and by the way, last Friday, not to go off subject here, but last Friday was Willie Nelson's 89th birthday. So, happy birthday to the redheaded stranger.
I think a lot of them had birthdays lately as well. A lot of the old country timers there. The one thing I do want to say I didn't get a chance to mention earlier is that Ashley and Winona definitely was a class act, like you guys said, coming out. They could have said, "Oh, we don't want to do it because the passing of her Winona's mom, and so on." But they still came out. They talked about it. They accepted the induction because that was in Nashville, if I'm correct on that, Julie. And I thought it was I just thought they were just a class act for coming out and actually being there for the fans that supported them out through the years. They showed up for them, and that's what I thought was cool.
I like how when Naomi went to say, when Naomi went, blah, I'll get it right. When Winona took her turn to say something, she goes, "Well, I didn't write anything down." She goes, "Because I figure, Mom would do most of the talking." I got a laugh out of everybody. In fact, even Ashley kind of chuckled, and Winona kind of smirked. Even I was laughing when I heard that. I thought that was pretty cool myself. I did too.
I thought that was great.
All right. So any last thoughts from anybody here? I guess we could start with Tom again, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up and let Tom close us out.
Well, I think the best way that we can honor Naomi in terms of what we do here on Blind Cafe Radio, just keep playing their music. And again, a terrible loss for the country music scene, but our thoughts and prayers are with the Judd family and their fans.
I echo everything that Tom just said.
I third it.
Yep, and I wish them the best, and we'll continue playing Judd's music right here on Blind Cafe Radio. Make sure you guys stay tuned in to the Dr. Johnny Love Drive Time DJ show. He will be definitely throwing the Judds out there every once in a while, and even on our Kicking Country, we can get some Judds in there, and you guys would be able to hear the Judds every once in a while as well. All right.
Thank you so much, folks, for listening to the Blind Cafe Radio Naked DJ podcast on Blind Cafe Radio, the station that raises Cain. We couldn't do this show without you, so we wish you a very pleasant morning, evening, or afternoon, whenever you may be listening. We welcome your comments. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook. And we welcome any suggestions, comments, thoughts about any of our podcasts. We welcome anything that you can share. Thank you again for listening. Hope you have a wonderful week. And we look forward to chatting with you again on the next Naked DJ podcast here on Blind Cafe Radio.
Go and check out Blind Cafe Radio at blindcaferadio.com, and also follow us on Twitter at Blind Cafe Radio and on Facebook at Blind Cafe Radio. Make sure you visit our webpage at blindcaferadio.com, where you can visit our naked DJ. And this is the Blind Cafe Kangaroo, signing off.